Well, hello again. This is Ponderosa North with the love of Bonanza. Today I'm going to focus on articles about Michael Landon, and I'm just going to get right to it. This was a very early article, pre-Bonanza, I believe, about him and his sister. It's very, very small type, so bear with me if you don't mind. You probably know them as Evelyn and Eugene Orowitz if you ever lived in Collingswood. But these two kids know themselves better as Victoria King and Michael Landon, the starring names they've acquired during the last couple of years in Hollywood movies. They used to live at 632 South Newton Lake Drive, but somewhere along the line, they heard about a man named Horace Greeley who said, "Go west." So you can look up on Google Maps, 632 South Newton Lake Drive in Collingswood. You could probably see Mike's, if it's still there. Under the professional name of Victoria King, it has just been announced Evelyn will soon make her screen debut in the Elvis Presley picture Loving You. Isn't that wonderful? Love Elvis. Lucky her. Michael Landon, Eugene, is scheduled to star in his first picture, that I Was a Teenage Werewolf, the International, American International, and then will co-star with Robert Mitchum in a Civil War story. The move up to fame for the two Orowitz kids was rapid. It was in the summer of 1954 that Evelyn went to Palisades Park and was named Miss New Jersey and sent on to the Miss Universe pageant on the West Coast. There she was one of the runners-up. But soon she was going commercial and playing parts on TV and was a member of the American Federation of TV and Radio Arts. She won the Elvis role. For a while, she did mostly commercials for General Electric, Plymouth, and other national sponsors, but her work eventually brought her to the attention of Paramount executives, and thus the part with Elvis the Pelvis. Remember that, Elvis the Pelvis? Back when he was 17, Eugene was hurling the javelin for Collingswood High, and he did it so well that he got an athletic scholarship to the University of Southern California. In his first track meet on the team at that institution of learning, he pulled a ligament. So with time and convalescence on his hands, he accompanied a friend to the Warner Brother lot. Soon he was in the Warner talent school, and last year he was starring in TV. His first appearance was in The Mystery of Caspar Hauser on the telephone time of CBS Network. Since then, he has played in 23 TV shows and starred in the Los Angeles version of Tea and Sympathy. The kids seem to inherit their talent. Their father pioneered movie news on WIP as Elmo's movie broadcast in the 1930s, was national director of the advertising, publicity, and exploitation for RKO Theaters, and was an executive with the Savor Corps of Camden, and is now a Los Angeles theater director. Oh, I didn't know that about Eli, their father, the kid's father. I knew he was a movie theater owner, but I didn't know he had all those other things on his resume, so that's interesting. This is another, I think this is out of a TV guide. Here we go. It's entitled Javelin Thrower on Horseback. Bonanza's Michael Landon, who grew up as a mixed-up athlete, seems finally to have found his niche. Well, that's for sure. But I'm not going to read this whole article. It's quite long. I'm going to just read this snippet. It says, but Landon seemed to be taking the prospect lightly, this is from the Julia Brulette story. Cracking wise to the point where producer David Dortorp began to worry. However, as director Chris Nyby swung into the scene, a miraculous transformation occurred. Suddenly, Landon was all business. Every emotion surfaced and attuned. Genuine tears began rolling down his cheeks. His audience, which included his producer, co-stars Dan Blocker and Lauren Green, and a member of the press, was too shaken to speak. Dortorp later commented, "Mike didn't play that scene, he lived it." Yes, he was fabulous at tears. I mean, he could just cry on the spot like that and make it so genuine, and you've cried along with him. You couldn't help it. He just knew how to what they say in the acting is how to go there. He would get himself into that spot, and he would just let it go. And as in the other article that Lauren Green was saying, that he really picked it up, and he really increased his level of professionalism in a very rapid way. Here's just one of those movie magazine articles. I don't even know what year it's from. Probably the 60s. On his own. They're talking about him leaving his wife, his first wife. It just says, Mike shows family and future looked great, but what's in store for him now? Remember all these kinds of things. This is now that Mike and Dodie Landon have split, and it looks as if there won't be any reconciliation. The young Bonanza star is on his own in more ways than he may realize. Dodie is no longer there to exert a stabilizing influence over him, and like a child with too much freedom, he may not know how to handle it. Okay. Mike has been nervous and edgy of late, partly because of his dissatisfaction with his TV role, but in giving up his family, he is giving up a part of himself. Mike and Dodie eloped over the objections of his parents when he was 19. She was 25 and the mom of a 6-year-old son. Mike was born in Forest Hills, New York on Halloween, 1937. He is 6 feet tall. No, he isn't. No way. Weighs 155, has hazel eyes and brown hair. No, he's not. He's bare, maybe 155 soaking wet. He was little. He was little Joe. This is another one about him. Nice picture of him raising his kid, how he wants to raise his kids. I'll just read a little bit of it here. My daughter, I hope, will, when the time comes, and when I have a daughter, save this going steady business until she knows what it can honestly mean in her life. All of Mike's ideas about raising his children are based on mistakes he made himself when he was growing up. They are not the ideal comments of an idealist, but the practical discoveries of a man who knows from experience. It is to be hoped that young people lend more than a casual ear to what he says. I want to keep my boys as young as I can for as long as I can. That's interesting. I'll do the raising of my children with no maid. I will do it, says Mike, pictured with wife Lynn. That's his second wife, Lynn No. So yeah, well, he had 9 kids. So here are most of them, right here. But a lot of the articles that I came across in doing my research for Mike is his cancer diagnosis in 1990. A reporter who has known him from the start tells how the brash kid from New Jersey, who became one of TV's most beloved stars, has faced up to his biggest challenge. Yeah. Anyway, I'm going to read you this article. Stricken with a deadly cancer, Michael Landon vows he'll fight back with medicine and prayer. I hope I can get... I was crying when I was reading this the first time. I'll try and get through it. As Bonanza's little Joe, Little House on the Prairie's kindly homesteader, Charles Ingalls, or Highway to Heaven's angelic drifter, Jonathan Smith, Michael Landon always specialized in happy endings. Now he needs one himself. On April 5th, the 54-year-old actor was diagnosed with cancer of the pancreas, which had spread to his liver, according to the American Cancer Society spokesman. Only 1% of patients with this dire combination survive as long as 5 years. Oh boy. At a press conference at his Malibu home, Landon was brave and touchingly honest. We each have our own miracles, he said. I'm still hoping I can beat it. Landon began experiencing stomach cramps 7 weeks ago and cut short a family vacation in Utah the first week of April to return to LA and check into Cedars-Sinai's medical center. Doctors first suspected an ulcer. Instead, tests revealed tumors. The diagnosis caught Landon completely by surprise. At first, you just don't believe it, the actor said. Right after I heard that there was a possibility, I began doing push-ups just to make sure I was strong, as I was the day before. To drive home the point, he did a few push-ups for reporters. I feel terrific, he said. The only difficulty I have is digesting food, so I have become a papaya juice lover. The 5-inch, now we're 5, they keep quoting his height, 5'11" actor says he lost 4 pounds, but pointed out that you don't gain a hell of a lot of weight drinking papaya juice. Oh, he could make a joke about anything. Landon attempts to lighten the mood were belied by more than a hint of sadness in his eyes. He announced that he would immediately undergo chemotherapy. If the chemo shrinks the tumors to where they can operate, that's what they'll do. He's a strong guy and he's got a great attitude, says Ron Wise, Cedar Sinai spokesman. In my experience, that has a lot to do with how things go. Landon had been planning a trip to the Galapagos this spring and a later one to Africa, which he described as my favorite place aside from home. Oh, that's interesting. He went to Africa. I loved it. Didn't know that. Those are now on hold as Us, a new CBS series slated for the fall in which he has to play a newspaper columnist. Landon, who lives with 2 of his 9 children, the youngest is 4, the oldest, an adopted son, 42, and his 3rd wife, Cindy, 34, spoke of the prayers and families say together. Life has been good to me, he said. I had a good lick here. Then turning, he returned to the house, raised his fist in the air. Now I'm doing the Michael Landon tears. Anyway, that's it for today.